Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Itamar, the CEO at Coho AI. Hello,
Hi, thank you for having me.
super excited to have you. Please tell us what is Coho AI.
So, Coho AI is a new startup that basically helps SaaS companies to really accelerate their existing relationship with their user base by navigating the value that they're extracting from the product and making sure that the users and the customers are getting the value needed to monetize better and create a better relationship with them.
What did you say is the biggest problem that you solve for companies?
It's a great question. So I think every SaaS company really trying to basically create a product that monetizes itself, right? The value that they're getting from the users, the value that their users getting from the product is so visible that they want to be part of it and they want to pay essentially. However, it's very challenging to find the right value path for every single segmentation, persona, different account size, and so on. So basically, what Coho does is we allow our customers to really segment each and every user and account to maximize the relationship with that segment to the fullest.
I understand. I understand. Can you tell us how does it work? More
Of
on the
course.
technical side. Yeah.
So basically, we are integrating seamlessly with the existing tools that most of the SaaS company already collect a lot of information from product analytics to internal DBs, CRM information, CSM information. We're gathering all of this information when we build an AI algorithm that basically categorize the value that every single segmentation got from the product. And that allows us to not only identify where he is in his customer journey, but what is the necessary action that we need to take on that segmentation to maximize his relationship with the company that we're working with.
That sounds amazing. What are the best features?
I think that our best features is our capability of really segmenting the customer journey. So basically, we have a feature that really help organizations to map the multidimensional metric between a persona, a value proposition, and where the users stand in understanding that value proposition. Did he only onboarded? He used the feature a little bit, or he's a very, very engaged user with that specific feature? And what does it means about his total relationship with the customer, with the
What?
organization?
Yeah, yeah. What types of teams can use your product?
So we're aiming for to help product teams or growth managers specifically.
Okay.
But we are also helping the sales organization by highlighting qualified leads and the CS organizations that a lot of the time responsible to make a smooth relationship with the customer.
Do you have a success story that you can share with us?
Of course, we have we have multiple. So in one case that pops into my mind is a company that had a PLG motion, a self-service motion, but they were stuck, right? They invested a lot of effort of streamlining the onboarding process and making sure that users are experiencing the product without the help of anyone, but the conversion rates were very, very low. And once we entered, we basically upgraded the actually before we entered, they wanted to stop the motion and go to other motions as well. But when we engaged with them, we said, give us a try. And once we integrated and they saw the vast possibility of what we can do, they're actually now extending their investment in the PLG effort, and they're understanding that it's not only about creating a smoothless product that someone can enter and try it for free, but it's the whole process behind that that is super important.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a fantastic success story. Thank you for sharing. What are
Of
the
course.
most used integrations that you see?
So basically, we're having two type of integrations. We have integrations coming or information coming to our platform, and we
Okay.
have integrations that basically we're pushing information to other platforms.
Yeah.
In terms of integrations outside of Coho, I would say that the most common one are Slack actually and Salesforce and
Hmm.
HubSpot. So basically, once we have a specific insight, for example, a user or an account that is ready for an upgrade, usually our customers tend to want that insight into Slack, even to be proactive on the account or in Salesforce to basically streamline their existing workflows.
I understand. I understand. And what is the pricing for Coho? AI?
It really depends. It really depends on the ROI that we can deliver. It
Okay.
ranges, really depends on the volume of events and users that we're tracking, and the possibilities of us accelerating their revenue and creating more revenue growth.
hmm And how competitive is your market? I'm really curious to know.
It's a great question. First of all, it's an early market for sure, and I think that the most common alternative is to build something in house, and this is actually our main competitor. If you like,
Yeah.
I think all of your listeners that have a SaaS company probably have some internal processes that they're trying to combine a lot of information into one BigQuery or Snowflake and trying to crunch the data to create a better streamlined process for their GTM. This process is what we try to enhance or sometime replace.
Understand. When you start the company, how did you come up with the idea?
It's actually really connected to your question around the competitor because we basically interviewed a lot of SaaS companies and we saw that every single SaaS company, B2B, B2C, gaming industry, whatever, they're having they invest a lot of money and in trying to basically streamline go-to-market processes by breaking the data silos that the marketing product, sales, and CS usually have in one single place and trying to crunch the data to do something meaningful with it.
Yeah.
And it reminds us the early days of before Salesforce where companies tried to reinvent the wheel and created their own CRM. So we saw that pattern over and over again, and we said there is something here, right? Doesn't make sense, and we decided to jump on the opportunity.
That's awesome. And when did you start?
We started in October 21.
hmm I understand. How big is your team right now?
We are 19.
Have you raised any funding?
Yes, we fundraised a total of 8.5 million in pre-seed 1.5, and then another 7 million in seed.
And do you think you found product market fit?
Sorry, I
Did you
couldn't hear.
found product market fit?
Oh, absolutely. I think so again, it really depends how you define product market fit, and I know that it's a fluidic kind of definition. Uh,
Yeah.
but some of them or some of the definition is relevant to ARR. I agree with that to some extent, but I think the core is how long it takes us to show value to our customers and the price tag that they believe that it's actually small than the actual value that they're getting, right? This is for me the best evidence of us getting to a product market fit. We have a product, it takes us very, very short time to show a new customer our value. They are totally understand what we do, and the value is much, much higher than the price tag that we are asking. So for me, it's the best evidence.
Thank you for explaining.
Of course.
It's a great definition. I was curious to know what has been your biggest challenge since starting the company.
It's a great question. I think it really depends on the stages, right? The stages of the company. So we're an early company, but still we did a lot. I think the first step what was very challenging is creating the first curation of the product that is generic, right? In the end, we don't have a professional service behind the scenes that holding the chords right and making sure that everything is not everything is breaking up. We have a process, we have a product that solves that problem, but to create a product that can serve a company like Zoom the same way that it helps company like Confluent, right, which is very, very different companies, you have to create a data structure, experience, a modeling that is really in the one hand generic, but in the same time very specific to the customer that we're working with. So that was a very challenging piece. We spend a lot of time doing so, and as we progress, now I think today, if you're asking me what is the main challenge today, is really awareness, right? Companies tend to think in-house or in-house solution to solve that problem. They're not aware that there is something like Coho out there, and even if they're hearing about Coho, we're promising something that sounds like magic, right? And it's not magic; it's total data science, right? But in the same time, it sounds pretty awesome, sounds
Yeah.
amazing, sounds almost too good to be true. So the awareness around the problem and the solution is the current challenge that we're facing.
And I guess you're still educating the clients and investing a lot into the education.
Absolutely, absolutely. Both from the idea that value creation is what usually drives successful growth, but in the same time that there is a platform like Coho, and there is no really reason to develop that in-house.
I understand. And what do you say is the biggest mistake that you did?
Oof, wow, we did so many mistakes. Um, of course, like I think you learn from mistakes. I
Yeah.
think for sure is to listen to the wrong feedback, right? So before we monetized, we looked at usage as a proxy to the price that or the value that they're extracting from the product. So if we've seen accounts and users constantly using the product, immediately we thought like this is the way to go, right? But once we started monetizing and we asked them for even not a very big, what we considered a price tag, we found out that there is a huge gap between usage and value, right? And it's not the same thing at all, right? So
Yeah.
really modeling the value that the user is getting, and it's very unique to every customer. So we're using Co on ourselves as well, right? So we're developing a Co for our purposes as well. But before we had that sorted out, that was very challenging to really get the right feedback to what you're actually looking for.
And what would be your advice for founders looking to make the difference between the right feedback and the wrong
So I
feedback?
think first of all, I would look at it as you know like a scientist that developed an experiment, right? We I don't know if you know when I was in high school, we had this sorry, this exercise of developing like a very structured experience, right? You wrote your hypothesis, you wrote you're writing your expected outcome, and then you're evaluating the data. And I think in product development, it's very, very similar. You have to develop what is really critical to answer your hypothesis, not what you think is could generate another piece of value, or there's a lot of distractions, or what not what your customers are asking for, but what is the thing that you need to develop to really answer your hypothesis. And the hypothesis should be very, very connected to your business goal. So in our case, when we developed that hypothesis, we said, well, usage equals to value equals to price, right? And that was a mistake. We should have change the whole conversation and ask around pricing right from the start, right? And build that conversation around pricing and not only about expected value or expected or hypothesis around value and usage. That is for me a lesson that we need to take into consideration.
And now I'd love to hear about your best go-to-market strategies that worked for you.
Ooh, we have so it's usually people tend to tell like the hacks, right? The more sexy part, but I must say that at the end of the day, what works for us is just hard work, traditional marketing by the book. We're going to conferences, we're leveraging Google. Now I think it's a little bit shifting with ChatGPT, but we're doing things by the book. We have few anecdotes, but to be completely honest, the vast majority of our success in go-to-market was just traditional, what usually work with the right messaging to the right people in the right time, right? This, in the end, this is usually what works, and this is what works for us. So I don't want to, fool you with anecdotes that was nice, was interesting, but didn't really uh, make the difference.
I totally understand. Yeah. What are the top KPIs that you track for your business?
So for us, we adopted a land and expand motion, right? So we tend to start with initial price tag, and we hope to expand. So for us, The vast majority of KPIs is relevant to the time we believe it will take to actually expand, right? This is the business goal that we're tracking. However, you need to create different KPIs that are proxy to that. And for us, the most important KPI currently is time to value. How much time it takes for a user to or a customer of ours to get into the platform and get significant amount of value. This is what we're tracking, and this is what we're trying to optimize to the fullest.
What is your vision for the future of Coho?
It's a great question. I think in the end of the day, we truly believe that in order to generate growth, you need to generate value, right? We talked about it from our perspective as well, but this is our core belief. And I think that tailored experience and personalization experience within every single user is the key to drive that value. So if I'm looking at the vision of Coho, is how we can extend that personalization to every single company, SaaS company out there, from their experience with the product, from the relationship between different departments in the organization to the user. I think if you're looking, the best example is around content and how your Facebook and my Facebook, or your Instagram and my Instagram, is completely different. It looks like it probably looks like a different application because the content is so tailored to your experience or to my preferences. But in terms of product development and areas around experience, we're currently not doing so. So the vision of Co is really to help personalize the experience to the fullest, to the sense of how you're maximizing the value that every single user persona or account is getting from your product.
And now I'd love to hear your story. So, how you started your career?
So I started my career actually in the IDF. I was drafted to the intelligence unit, the equivalent to the NSA in Israel, and that really broadened my horizons to different levels. The understanding that literally everything is possible. There is I think a game within our unit that they constantly teach you that there are some things that cannot be done, and then they show you how you can actually do it.
Wow.
And that really got into my belief that literally everything is possible. And after that, I continued to learn computer science, and then I worked as a product manager, both a little bit in Google and mostly in Microsoft, before I left and founded Co together with my two founders.
That's awesome. And what would be your best piece of advice for a starting founder?
I'm trying. So obviously there are the common ones, right? Which is finding the right partners. I can't really stress that enough. I'm very lucky, but we had a strong relationship, my partners and I, beforehand, and before we started, and I think that is crucial, right? In the end of the day, it's a roller coaster. You'll have shitty days and you'll have amazing days, and you want someone that will hold your back, right, and be with you on that journey. The second is really defining the boundaries between the founders, right? What is the responsibility of each founder? What is the strong sides of each founder and what we want to leverage in order to make sure that the relationship, again, you're grooming a relationship. It's like a marriage, right? You want that to be successful. And actually, I saw a statistic that the vast majority of startups that fail because of a lack of a relationship
Yes.
between founders, right?
Yeah.
So that is obviously the super important. Another part that I think people are tend to not to neglect is your affiliation to what you're building, right? It's a journey that you should think of as a 10-year relationship with the company, right? So at the end of the day is which type of company you want to build. You want what is the culture that you want to have? What is the product that you're building? Do you have affiliation to that? Like, is it exciting to think about it 24/7? Because you will think about it 24/7. So it better be something that you're passionate about, right? And people tend to just run and start something because they want to start something, but to wait a little bit and finding the right problem that really fits your belief and interest is super critical in my opinion.
That's an incredible advice. Thank you so much for sharing. And now I have one last question. What's your favorite
Mhm.
SaaS product apart from Coho AI?
Ah, wow, it's a great question. So I think again, it's gonna be a little bit generic, but I'm amazed by the amount of time ChatGPT is really reducing in my day-to-day work. I'm coming from Israel. My mother's tongue language is not English, is Hebrew. So just tweaking emails or writing very or creating a better documentations or even I'm using ChatGPT for literally everything that I'm writing is really just shortening the time that I'm dealing with. I would say not really interesting things. So now I'm it's all about ChatGPT currently. So yeah, I have to say that, right? It's in a different level.
Is there anything else that you want to mention on today's podcast?
No, of course, check out Coho AI. I hope if it's relevant, we'll love to help. We're building something very interesting, and you should definitely check it out.
Thank you so much for joining. You did great.
Of course, thank you very much.